Hello, and welcome to another episode of Wood into Sawdust. I hope you've been enjoying these videos. So today, I'm going to talk about the lowly drill driver. Around 2001, 2002 is when I started getting into woodworking. And I was looking to build up a minimal shop, right? I was also a new homeowner, so I knew I needed some tools for around the house. And I reached out to a couple of the woodworking magazines. Back then, you actually got responses over the internet, email over internet, because even though it was early 2000, people weren't inundating them yet. And I asked them, hey, can you give me a difference between 18 volt, 14 volt, these 12 volt, 10 volt items? And invariably the answer came back, go 14 volt. It was the sweet spot. Their reasoning was it has enough power to drive most standard woodworking type screws. When you think about, as again, a woodworker, not construction. So you got to think of the process of woodworking, which is typically you drill pilot holes and then you drive the screws in after. So I went with some 14 volts, Hitachi in particular. It was a well-reviewed drill at the time. It was in the right price point for me. Again, just starting to build a shop. Wasn't quite yet in my philosophy of buy quality. I was looking to buy cheap. Turned out it was actually a good drill, quality-wise. And I got my drill, and after my first project or two, I realized I really hate the fact that I'm chucking the drill bit, drilling my pilot holes, unchucking the drill bit, putting my screwdriver drill bit in, the driver bit, and then driving the screws in. So I went and got another drill. So I had another Hitachi 14 volt. I made sure the batteries are interchangeable. The first drill I caught at the end of its retail lifespan, and when I went and bought the second one a few months later, it was the new Hitachi style look, which looked like something out of Transformers or something futuristic. So when they went from just a block green and they mixed the black in there and the patterns. Drills worked great for about 5-7 years. But like all NiCad systems happen, the batteries started not holding their charges. I'd get, instead of 3 or 4 hours being able to drive 50 or 60 screws, I would get maybe 20 minutes per charge. So I decided to upgrade. I took advantage of one of those retail specials on Black Friday, and I picked up a DeWalt 18 volt. Rephrase that, I picked up 2 of those guys. Again, I got into the habit of having 2, one for drilling, one for driving. I did try at one point one of those systems, I think Rockler calls theirs Insti, where it's a combination drill bit and a driver bit. You drill your pilot hole and you pop the top off of the mechanism, and then it's your screwdriver. I kept on dropping that thing, I'd lose it, I'd break a bit. So I said, okay, I'm not going to do that, I'm just going to have the 2 drills, just stay with that. The DeWalt 18 volt NiCads were pretty good. Occasionally the chuck would slip and they were heavy, but they worked. Had them for about 7 years or so. And finally, again, as all NiCads batteries do, they stopped holding their charge, got less and less. I looked at the cost of replacement batteries, I'm like, 70, 80 bucks for a set of batteries, when 100 bucks gets you a whole new drill with 2 batteries. So last year I did one of the $150 kits, which came with a drill and a hammer drill. 2 batteries, charger. This is 20 volt. It probably weighs 2 or 3 pounds less than my 18 volt. At least that's what it feels like to me. And it seems to be about 3 inches smaller. So it's nice. I get into tighter places with it, especially if I'm trying to reach inside cabinets. And it has little flashlights on them, so you get the idea of where you're pointing at. First thing I learned is, to me, a hammer drill is pointless. I deal in hardwoods, maple, walnut, purple heart, Hadoop, these exotics. Even when using self-tapping bits, screws, with the hammer drill, I'd find I could still crack. That hammering motion, when it engaged, might cause a split in the wood. The other thing I noticed is I tend to buy fairly cheap drill bits. I've bought expensive ones, and while they may last 3 or 4 times longer than a cheap one, the cheap ones are a tenth of the price. So in the long run, it's more cost effective by the cheapo kits for drill bits. Same with the driver bits. You know, you go to Home Depot, Lowe's, and you find the number 2 Phillips driver bit is 10 cents, 20 cents each, and you buy, you know, just grab a handful on checkout. You know, they're one of those things you have the checkout counter where you can impulse buy things, and, you know, you throw some down. I found some of those cheap type ones actually break when used with the hammer drill. So I started looking at, you know, the stuff that's in the packages on the wall at the retail stores, and then some of the higher end brands will say safe to use in a hammer drill or not for use in the hammer drill. So apparently these guys, when the hammer kicks in, can do, you know, whatever it's doing with that hammer in there, can cause the bits to fail, particularly the driver side of it. So I actually, believe it or not, contacted DeWalt, and they said, you know, these things are great. They're designed more for folks working in softwoods. Think of things like pine and fir, right? Construction industry, driving in lags, all sorts of stuff where they're self-tapping, but at the same time, the wood is softer. I'm like, okay. So what do? I got my one drill. I want to do 2 drills. So for this year, again, I took advantage of the specials. Rather than buying the full kit, I went and bought this DeWalt. This is a kit. Single drill, DCD777C2. And inside, it came with this nice little carrying bag, the drill, 2 batteries, and a charger. So now I have 4 batteries and a charger. This drill is about a 1/4 pound lighter. I weighed it. Teeny bit taller. It is more compact from a profile perspective. But it is a little bit wider. It gives a little bit bigger grip when you're holding the chuck and the clutch here for everything you're doing. What I also noticed is this is big old words on the side and back, brushless. So I'm not into the motors on such of these things, so I went and looked it up. For those of you who already know about motors and such in drills, this is boring. For those of you that aren't knowledgeable, when you can, go brushless. They're just longer lasting, less maintenance. Will they truly be longer lasting? I don't know. I look at all these devices now as throwaways after every 5 to 7 years. Why? Battery technology keeps changing, and you're going to find the cost of the batteries is almost the cost of the drill. I just happened to go look at what the price of the batteries were. If I just want to buy batteries, it's in the 70s. This was $100. So for $100, I got a drill and an extra charger than buying this instead of batteries. So, but basically let's say this is a $30 drill if you think about it, right? $70 for batteries, $30 for the drill. That's how you get to your 100. I will say having these is interesting because I don't feel like they're much more powerful than my 18 or 14 volts, so I did some looking into batteries. It's interesting how they rate the batteries and such. You may find, if you actually probe these, if you're into electronics and such, your 20 volts actually probably an 18 volt. They play some loosey-goosey with the numbers of the batteries in there. It really depends on, you know, basically what everybody's doing is there's very few battery manufacturers. So they're all pretty much using the same core battery and just putting their own electronics and such around it. So when you get to take a footprint like this, that you find on the DeWalt's, and I'm not going to open this up, but there may be 3 or 4 actual cells in here, and they do the math, it comes out to pretty much 20, but it can't deliver the full 20. There's some inefficiencies in there, so you actually get less. The other thing that might happen is you may see somebody with 22 or 24, like I said, if anybody's an outlier by, let's say, 2 or 3 volts, that's when you know they're playing loosey-goosey with the actual math that the batteries can deliver. So anything that's listed as 20 or 22, I'd say everybody's at 20. If somebody comes in at 28 or something, they maybe have a 4th or 5th cell in there to get them that extra oomph. But don't get caught up in how many volts you're going to get over all time. 14 is enough. I've driven 1-inch spade bits, actually 1.5-inch spade bits with a 14 volt drill. auger bits with them, so they're plenty. I think what I get out of the 20 volt versus the 14 volts is just a longer battery life without having to charge going forward. I haven't put it to the test yet. The longest thing I've done since I bought this drill is 65 screws, and it worked on one charge. I'm hoping I'll get up to maybe 100. I have a project coming up I'll probably start in March. That looks like it'll probably end up using close to 100 screws, so I'll let you know then if I do get 100 out of it. I'll probably end up using this drill since this is brand new and it's got brand new batteries. And I do label, by the way, when I bought these, so I have a little label on them that says when I got them for the battery life and everything, so I just know in general what year and when I bought it. Who knows when the actual battery cell was manufactured? It could have been sitting on DeWalt's shelf in their factory somewhere for 2 years for all I know. Again, they both read the same, they both say the same things on them, all the markings on the bottom are the same, the model numbers are the same for the batteries, so it's really a question of just when they're manufactured, how many times you charge them, just like any other battery maintenance. I think there's anything else I can say about the drills. No, that's pretty much about it. Looking forward to using the brushless over the brush. I will say one thing I've noticed is when I do the standard brush, if I hold it in long enough, I may see sparks down the air vents for cooling. I do not see it on the brushless. Apparently, it's when I'm seeing the sparks is as things are going around and spinning inside the motor and stuff. It's the brushes and how it's all affecting it. So, well, you get to lose that special effect when you go brushless. But again, they tell me brushless lasts longer, so we'll hope and see. Then again, the batteries won't, and I'm guessing another 5 years I'll have to wait the way batteries are going. I imagine in this footprint it will be a 30 to 36 volt in the same footprint by that time. Thanks again for tuning in. Blog is Wood into Sawdust. Right now it's hosted on WordPress, so www.woodintosawdust.wordpress.com. Eventually it's going to shift over to just woodintosawdust.com or .net. I gotta go look at domain names and see what's going to happen there. But thank you again, and have a good new year.